Heyo, welcome to another episode of Indiana Jones's quick news and silly season about the F1. So let's get into it. Record 23 race season confirmed with, it was kind of said that China was gonna be back in the calendar after the COVID restrictions in the country, and Las Vegas, of course, was confirmed before. So now it has been officially confirmed by the F1 or FIA or whatever that the calendar will be happening as this next season. We have Bahrain, we have Saudi Arabia, Australia, China in the 16th of April will be back. Azerbaijan will be moved from June to April as well. Miami, Emilia Romagna in Imola. Monaco will be happening before Spain, that now will be happening in June. And then you have the rest of the calendar as it is, more or less the same thing until Las Vegas, that has been included after Brazil. And of course, the season finishing in Abu Dhabi as per usual. Monaco extends the contract for 3 years. We saw Monaco is in the calendar for next year. Their contract was finishing this year, and especially people from the F1 like Christian Horner and others were already saying that perhaps Monaco might not have a place in the F1 calendar, right? Like the racetrack is very narrow, it's very short, it's not very good for the viewers to see the Grand Prix because you cannot overtake in the racetrack. So why take Monaco, or why keep Monaco and take Spa-Francorchamps off, for example, when it's a really nice racetrack, right? But anyway, Spa has renewed the contract for 1 year, and Monaco will be there for another 3 years at least. So until 2026, we will not know if Monaco will continue in F1, or it will be time to move on to better racetracks, like for example Kyalami. Nick De Vries might have another chance or another go in the Williams in Singapore because Alex Albon had this appendicitis surgery that had some complications, but now he's home resting, he's okay. But perhaps he might not be declared fit to go into the car, or he might not even feel that he's up to the task, right? So in that case, Nick De Vries might have to be ready and fit to have another go in the Williams in the next weekend. 11th team might be possible now that Toto Wolff, which was the main antagonist of the whole idea of having another team, let's not forget that the 10 teams are how to say, like, diversifying the money or splitting the money among the 10 teams. Having an 11th team would mean that each team would get less money from the whole jackpot or whatever you want to call it, right? So Toto Wolff was one of the main antagonists of the idea of having an 11th team. But now that you can see, for example, Porsche and Red Bull are not in good terms for their partnership. Actually, they broke the possible partnership that they were going to have. Gave Toto Wolff, for example, the idea that in 11th team, having 2 new engine suppliers other than Ferrari, Renault, Mercedes and Honda, or Red Bull powertrains, however you want to call it, might not be a bad idea after all, right? Having, I don't know, Andretti, who has been trying to apply for F1, having Andretti with Porsche or Audi engines or whatever might not be that bad of an idea. Like Mercedes now has 3 teams with their engine. Ferrari also has another 3, Red Bull has 2, Alpine has 1. So having Porsche and Audi would not be such a bad idea after all. So, silly season. Well, Colton Herta looks like he's going to give up for his dream in F1 for now. He doesn't have enough points. There was a gray area in the super license regulations that would allow him to have an exception. However, the FIA already said they are really firm. They want people, especially, to go through their structure of F4, F3, F2 to get to F1. Being an IndyCar driver does not mean that even though IndyCar faster than F2, and Herta being a race winner, It's not what the FIA wants, which is something that I already discussed in previous videos. I think it's really wrong. I mean, it's okay to support people going through their categories, but that means that unless you compete in Europe, you are not going to get into F1. So, like American drivers, American continent, the whole continent, or Asian drivers or whatever, they have it really difficult to get into F1 if you don't go through the F2 or F3, which would mean that unlike Europeans, you need to move to Europe so you can be in the base of every single team, because all of them are in the UK or Germany or Italy or something like this. So if you're from Australia, you need to move all the way to Europe and then try to get into F1. Like for families that have a 10-year-old kid that could be good at this without any sponsorship or anything, going to Europe, spending all what they have to try to see if the kid is worth it or not. While they could be, I don't know, racing in Japanese Super Formula, for example, or whatever, or IndyCar, if you're from the USA, right? So yeah, but anyway, they are not going to fight for it. So looks like Herta is not coming to F1 right now. So the next American driver that could be in F1 could be Logan Sargent, if and only if, for example, this is happening. Alpine, as you know, is looking for a replacement for Fernando Alonso. They are waiting for Gasly, and Gasly would be released if Colton Herta got into AlphaTauri. However, that being discarded, Red Bull has their eyes now in Nick De Vries after seeing what happened in Monza, for example. They are in discussions, they are negotiating to see if Nick De Vries could join the AlphaTauri family, and that would release Gasly to go into Alpine. If not, De Vries is also in the list of Alpine. Of course, he's on Williams, but I think knowing that Williams is like the last team of the current grid, De Vries will wait until the last minute to see if he can get a seat either in AlphaTauri or in Alpine. Alpine, of course, has all the drivers. Their main target is Gasly, but if they don't get it, now that De Vries is one of their main targets, they also have other names such as Duhan. They have also Giovinazzi for some reason. They also have Mick Schumacher, let's not forget. So they are doing some private tests and other things to see which driver they can count on. They said already Mick Duhan perhaps is not... Jack Duhan, not Mick Duhan. Jack Duhan. It's perhaps too young to be in the Alpine team with Ocon. Mick Schumacher is an option. Ocon already gave his okay for Mick Schumacher, but Alpine looks like it's not their main target. Of course, it's Gasly, but now that De Vries is there and he's free, looks like De Vries might be the one that they are going after. So the main option for De Vries looks like it's going to be AlphaTauri, as Alpine wants Gasly, and they all get something good from the deal. And they would leave Mick Schumacher with very few options, two, to be honest. Either he goes to Williams or he stays in Haas. But looks like Gunther Steiner does not want to keep Mick so much. They are requesting him to score more points with a car that actually right now is not in position to score points, right? You can see Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher are suffering in the last races to even go into the top 10 or in the top 15. They are at the back of the grid once again. So it's not very realistic. However, interestingly enough, if you see the performances, Mick Schumacher is beating Kevin Magnussen in the final. If you check back like 3-4 races, Mick Schumacher is beating Kevin Magnussen on track. So why, like, you can see the progress of Mick Schumacher. So why does Haas not want to keep him? It's a mystery for me. But anyway, of course, being an spectator, you don't know half of what is happening. So there must be a reason why they really don't want him to be on the team. Ferrari might have to intervene there. Mick Schumacher wanted to leave the Ferrari Academy that was not supporting him so much lately. But apparently Binotto is going to have some meetings with Mick Schumacher to see how he can help him if he wants to stay, if they can let him go or whatever. The option for Mick Schumacher, if Haas doesn't want to stay, him to stay, is Williams. He doesn't have any other option. So Williams would wait for De Vries. If not, perhaps they would go for Mick Schumacher, which would be interesting to see next to Alexander Albon. And if not, they have the young driver Logan Sargent, which is from the USA, and he's in third position in F2 right now, and he might have the super license. So that's how things are for Mick, and for the last 2 seats available on the grid. If he leaves to Williams, then probably the seat in the Haas would go to Robert Schwartzman. He might have the chance to be there, supported by Ferrari once again, to make the deal better for Haas. This was discussed in the last episode, and I mention it again. Like, it sounds like Schwartzman or Armstrong, both Ferrari Academy drivers, would have the seat in the Haas next to Kevin Magnussen. So things are like this. We don't have race this weekend. However, stay tuned for news and whatever. Check my other stuff that I do in my channel if you can. And see you next episode.